Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Future Copy broadcast. My name is Will and I am the founder and head writer over at futurecopywriting.com. In today's episode, I'm going to give you a 4-step framework for guaranteed email sales. And the catch is you don't actually have to sell. So it's basically sales without selling. It's simple, easy, and straightforward. There's really nothing to it except, of course, for these 4 steps that I'm going to give you right now. So let's get into it. Step 1 is you have to have a killer headline for no brain clicks. It doesn't matter how or when you come up with your headline. You could do it at the beginning. It could be the first thing that you write. You could do it at the end. You could do it right before you send the email. It could be in the middle of the night. It really doesn't matter. All that really matters is that it intrigues your reader. It's a bonus if it sounds good to you, but most importantly, it has to sound incredibly compelling and interesting to your reader. Cool thing about the headline is that it doesn't really have to be related to your content. It's best if it does, but it doesn't really have to. I mean, you could have something completely outlandish thing that still works. So when it comes to writing a good headline, there are many different ways, and you will use any number of ways. You're not going to stick with just one. My favorite is what I call the bulletproof method. It's very easy, very simple. There are 3 simple steps to it. So step 1 is you write 20 to 50 bullet points about your topic. That sounds like a lot, but to be honest, the first 10 to 15 are low-hanging fruit that don't really do much of anything. It's all about getting past those. That's why you aim for something higher, like 30 to 50 bullet points. The ones that are past that low-hanging fruit, that's really the good stuff. After all, diamonds don't just grow on trees and you don't just pick them up off the ground. You actually have to mine for the stuff that's valuable. Step 2, you want to identify the 3 most unique, compelling, and interesting points that you wrote down. That's it. The 3 top most interesting points. Remember again, this is not necessarily interesting to you. It's only important that it's interesting to the avatar that you are writing to. If the crossover is there, if it's interesting to both of you, excellent, but they are the number one thing that you should be thinking about and worried about in this process. So once you've got your bullet points and you've identified the 3 most compelling and intriguing ones, the third and final step of writing a killer headline is to actually start writing. Take those 3 bullet points and start crafting a single sentence out of it. Now, when it comes to crafting the sentence, make sure that your sentence is as simple as possible. And we'll get into why a little bit later. But for us writers, we tend to write long sentences. I mean, that was always my problem when I was writing. So when you actually start crafting this sentence, try to make it simple, but incorporate those 3 interesting bullet points that you identified. And then boom, eventually you're going to have it. You're going to have the headline. It's going to be awesome, and your avatar will love it. So one final note on headlines here. People all over are going to tell you that headlines can only focus on the pain, or headlines can only focus on the solution, or headlines need to follow a certain structure. But the truth is, whatever works, works. I've had headlines that work, or headlines that are focused on the pain work. I've had headlines that are focused on the solution work. I've had future-paced headlines work. Past-paced headlines? Past-paced? Whatever it is. They all work, right? There's no one-size-fits-all for this. It's just the process. Work through the process, get your headline, and then that's why we test everything. Test it out. See if it's an email headline, which we are talking about email, so let's stick with that. If it's an email headline, test it and watch your open rates. You will start to see that certain headlines work better for your avatar than others, certain subjects, certain tenses, certain words, certain emotions. And then you will start drilling in and getting to the thing that always works. Okay, so step 2 in the 4-part framework for guaranteed email sales, you need to format the email for the human brain. This is the one that I see broken left and right in most newsletters that I sign up for. Now, if you've ever joined a newsletter, then you know the effect of a bad newsletter. You know what it looks like, and you know how you just want to unsubscribe. And why the hell do they always hide the unsubscribe button? Right? It's only the bad ones that do. These things can look like overly long wall of texts, or small font, or really confusing narratives, right? At the end of the day, a bad newsletter is asking you as the reader to do work, to uncover whatever gem they have there. That's wrong. Do not do that. If you do that, you are failing as a copywriter. Plain and simple. The best emails have a clear, concise, and straight to the point formatting, and it's always easy to read. That is step 2. The formatting has to be easy to read. You cannot ask the reader to do work for you. You have to put in the work, and they appreciate it. It's easily consumed by them. So think of it this way. Think about your own behaviors when it comes to email. Do you read every single word? When you get an email, maybe for some you do, right? But any given person is on 20 plus email lists, newsletter lists. Now, when you get them, the first thing that you probably read is the headline. Of course, that's the subject line. And you click. Then what do? Sit there and read word for word every single word in that email? No. Very, very, I've never met a person that does that. I don't do that. Only with very specific newsletters do I do that. And even then I have to remind myself to do it. So what do people do? Well, based on research, we know that people skim, scan, and scroll. That's what they always do first. They skim for interesting things. They scan through and they scroll as they go down the page. And then they end up hitting the PS line, which again is going to come later, that we'll talk about. So everyone skims, scans, and scrolls. The point of the formatting is to accommodate this behavior. Think about it this way. If you have a wall of text, how easy is it to skim and scan through that text? It's not. Words don't just pop out at you. You don't get the sense of what the point is unless you read deeply into what they are saying. So when you format for the brain, you're thinking about this and you're accommodating that. And I have blog posts and other videos and whatnot that get deeper into how to format. I personally use bolded sentences. We're just going to talk about that in a different video because it's one of the deepest topics that I could get into. But you need to format for the skim, scan, scroll behavior, accommodate for it, predict it, and format for it. And your readers are going to love it. They're going to thank you for it. They're going to read your emails and they're going to be interested in seeing the next one. Okay, step 3 of the 4-step framework. Use 5th grade language for 12th grade readers. So what does that mean? Stop using big words. You're writing easily digestible, fast content for fast people. You're not writing an SAT study guide, okay? Stop using big words. Stick to words that are 3 syllables or less. Fewer. Less? Fewer. Whichever one. 3 syllables or less, fewer. So why do we do this? Well, our brains are wired and built around energy optimization. To read a bigger word, a longer word, it takes more energy. If you are forcing constantly your reader to read long words, what you're doing is burning more energy. You become more of a drag on their resources, and unconsciously and even sometimes consciously, they're just going to drop it, okay? It's why reading textbooks for college is a bore. It's why reading The Scarlet Letter sucks, because that book is like, okay, first of all, boring story and just filled with very long sentences, filled with very long words. That requires way too much energy to get through. It's why people loved Hemingway. And so speaking of Hemingway, one of the tools you can use to get around this is the Hemingway editor. It has this feature in it that when you type something into it, it will tell you what grade level your writing is at. We want to aim for 5th or 4th grade, or even below is fine. The Hemingway editor, just Google it. It does a great job at that, and will keep you on track with writing 5th grade language for 12th grade readers. Step 4 for guaranteed email sales is to always plug a PS line. I cannot drive this point home enough. You need to always have a PS line. Now, the reasons are aplenty. I would say the first and foremost reason that the PS line is so important is there's this guy, Richard. I was way off. According to Siegfried Vogel's research, over 90% of people read the PS line first before anything else. This research is a little bit older. This was direct mail. It's different from digital, but it's same but different. So our email readers are going to read the subject line. That's what's going to get them to click and open the email. From there, they might scan that first sentence, but they scroll. Now, scanning is not reading. So they'll scan the first sentence, they'll scroll, and they're skimming through looking for words and scanning. And then once they hit the bottom, what is down there is a PS line. PS, blah, 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 blah. They will read that. That makes it the most important thing that you could put in an email. So if you're writing relationship building emails, editorial style content, your PS line can be a soft sell on a product. Okay. If you're writing a dedicated sales letter or anything like that, your PS line can sum up what the email said and have the link to the product. Now, this is my secret with guaranteed email sales. This is how I create newsletters that pull in $5,000 to $10,000 a month on medium to small size lists. This is the secret. There is always a link to buy. Maybe you could consider this a bonus step 5, but really this is all based around the same thing. What you are doing with email, whether it is a dedicated sales letter or whether it is an editorial relationship building style email, is reminding the reader that you are there and reminding them how to buy from you. And that PS line works excellent for that. So put a soft sell in there, put it in the PS line because that's the first thing they're going to read. It's a bonus if your PS line is incredibly interesting and compelling to the rest of the content, because then what that will do is force them to go back and read the whole thing from start to finish. Now that builds a relationship, because if they're choosing to go back and read, they are choosing to trust you. So you follow these 4 steps in all of your emails. You have a killer headline. You format the email so it's easy to read. You use simple language, short words, simple sentences, so it's even easier to read. And you plug a PS line that is strong, compelling, and has a link to something they can buy. You will always get sales. If you want to see the proof of this, go to futurecopywriting.com, put in your email in the little newsletter sign up thing, and I will send you proof. I'm going to send you a couple things. I'm going to send you screenshots of this actually working with examples of the emails, proof that people bought off of those emails. And I'm going to give you a template that you can start using today for your own emails. Okay. It's exactly how I do every single email for all of my clients, and they're all happy with it. Now, before you go to futurecopywriting.com to get that, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe. That's how we pray to the algorithm gods. They love it. It will help me reach more people like you, and it will help you get more tips, tricks, and honest to God frameworks that work just like this in other Future Copy broadcasts. And I've got a lot more on the way. So like, subscribe, then head off to futurecopywriting.com and get your template and proof and frameworks and all of that is coming in that first email. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Will from Future Copywriting, and I will see you in the next one.